It's episode 4 of Jets Class. Back by unpopular demand is the backwards hat, but please ignore that because this is an absolutely jam-packed episode. We're talking the resurgence of Zach Wilson. We are breaking down Jets Broncos, which includes Sean Payton versus Nathaniel Hackett. This offensive line suddenly isn't so bad, plus another rendition of Connor versus, again, action-packed. You don't want to go anywhere, and it all starts right now with the takeoff. A week ago, I said it was time for the Jets to consider benching Zach Wilson. I don't think anyone looks more like a fool than me right now after the way that he played against the Kansas City Chiefs. So left hand up for me on that one. I mean, look, I've covered the vast majority of Zach Wilson's practices in OTAs, in minicamp, in training camp, and a ton of his games year 1, 2, and 3 of his career. I have never seen him play like this. The calmness that he had in the pocket, the leadership he displayed after the game, the decisiveness, the aggressiveness, the laser throw to Allen Lazard for the touchdown, but then the touch that he showed on the touchdown to CJ Uzomah. This is the quarterback the Jets have been waiting to see, hoping to see. This is the potential, and the guy that they drafted second overall, he just hadn't turned that corner yet, and now it looks like he had. After the game, Robert Saleh made a remark. He said that if this is the Zach Wilson that is here to stay, the Jets are going to win a lot of football games. He is right. This Zach Wilson isn't just going to get the Jets to the playoffs. He's going to make noise for them once he gets them there. It's time now for one of my favorite segments of the show. It is 4 Downs, and it is presented by Monmouth University. Explore further at monmouth.edu/amplified. It's real simple. It's 4 topics on the Jets and my thoughts on those topics on the Jets. And it starts right now with First Down. Another one. Give your game-changing players opportunities to change games. I don't care where they were drafted. I don't care what they were signed to in free agency. The Jets are finally adopting that philosophy, and it's a big reason why they almost pulled the upset against the Kansas City Chiefs. You saw Jeremy Ruckert working over CJ Uzomah. He made that big 23-yard catch up the right sideline. You had Xavier Gibson stealing reps from Randall Cobb. You saw him make that fancy little run on the end around. And you saw Bryce Huff working over Carl Lawson. And anytime he's on the field, he seems to disrupt the quarterback. We need more of this moving forward. It's going to be a reason why the Jets turn their season around. If they turn their season around, forget loyalty, forget allegiances, get your game-changing players on the field, and the Jets are finally doing it. Juicy, 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 drama, drama, drama. It is finally week 5, which means that we are finally getting Sean Payton versus Nathaniel Hackett. Obviously, everyone remembers when Sean Payton uncharacteristically called out the Jets offensive coordinator for his role in the Broncos' struggles last year. But heading into this one, I think all of the pressure, all of the hype, all of the expectations, it's all on the Denver side, not necessarily the Jets. Because look, Nathaniel Hackett, he's just an offensive coordinator. He's an offensive coordinator for a team that lost its all-pro, Pro Bowl, all-world quarterback in Aaron Rodgers. But from Payton's perspective, he's supposed to make Denver legit this year. He was supposed to bring out the best of Russell Wilson, and so far it has not happened. Well, I called for Zach Wilson's benching last week, and all he did was respond with the single best game of his NFL career. So maybe hammer every single one of Dalvin Cook's overs after you listen to this. But for me, I've seen enough of the Jets running back. There's no explosiveness from him. There's no acceleration. There's no speed. Every time he touches the ball, he is a buzzkill. His average yards per carry this season, 2.5. It's nearly 2 yards less than the lowest of his career during his seasons with the Vikings. Get him out. Give those carries to Izzy. Give him to Michael Carter. Give him to anyone else, because right now he is doing nothing for this offense. Don't look now, but do the Jets actually have the makings or semblance of an average to above average to potentially pretty good offensive line? I mean, this combination of Mekhi Becton, Laken Tomlinson, Connor McGovern, Joe Tippmann, and then Elijah Vera Tucker, right tackle, they're doing a pretty good job. They opened up some run lanes against the Kansas City Chiefs. They've been keeping Zach Wilson upright. If they can continue to do those two things, it's going to be a huge thing for this Jets offense moving forward. Teams finally, after Zach Wilson's game against the Chiefs, they're going to start to fear the pass. You marry that with an offensive line that's going to open up some run lanes, keep those guys off Wilson. They're not perfect, no, but they're certainly good enough, and that's a good sign for the Jets. Combined Buck Showalter announcing his own firing with me covering Giants, Seahawks, and old friend Geno Smith on Monday, and it got me thinking about the craziest day of my NFL covering career. So why not tell you guys about it? Here is the backstory of what it was like to cover the Jets the day that Geno Smith got sucker punched. So Todd Bowles used to do things a little bit different than Robert Saleh does now, and that he spoke after practice, not before. So that day, all of us were just hanging out in the media room waiting for some member of the media relations staff to take us out to practice. That's when, and I will never forget this, the door that connects the media room to the rest of the building swung open, and in walked Todd Bowles. And I can't remember if it was ESPN's Rich Cimini or the New York Post, Brian Costello. One of them made a comment to Todd, which was like, oh, what, did you miss us? Because it was a joke. Why is he coming in now when we're not supposed to see him for a couple of hours? And Todd, in typical Todd fashion, didn't say anything. He just kept walking to where he would normally give his press conferences. That's when another reporter spoke up and goes, are we supposed to record this? Because it's not totally uncommon for a head coach or a GM to talk to the media off the record. Just fill you in on the state of the team and give you content that you can't write or talk about it, but just fill you in. Todd, completely deadpanned, no emotion, as he's walking goes, you're going to want to record this one. He then waited for us all to flood into the media room, take our seats. I was standing off into the left corner, and he goes, there was an altercation in the locker room. IK Enemkpali sucker punched Geno Smith. Geno Smith is out for the next 11 weeks, and we've released IK Enemkpali. It definitely wasn't this long, but it felt like there was a 5-minute wait of just complete and total silence for us for Todd to say to us, joking, because what people forget about that summer is that Geno Smith was lights out. He tore up OTAs, minicamp, the beginning portion of training camp. He looked like somebody who would turn a corner, potentially franchise guy, could get the Jets in the playoffs. He looked that good. And now suddenly he's just out for the next 11 weeks because he was sucker punched. That doesn't happen. Like that's not only a Jet story. That's a fictional, no, that doesn't happen story. So none of us could believe it. Now, one final note on this. To this day, Sam Darnold's mono, all that stuff, firings, I can never recall a normal day of like 10 to 12 of us in that media room to all of a sudden every national guy, every local guy, every TV person, every radio person flooding One Jets Drive to cover this story. It was truly, to this day in my career, I've been doing this since 2014, that was one of the wildest days I've ever experienced. It is debate time on Jets Class here with Connor Versus, and I am super excited, maybe, to have this guy coming in, basically just because I can't wait to absolutely demolish him in this debate. It's Zack Rosenblatt of The Athletic, my good friend. Buddy, are you ready to talk a little Jets football and get our debate on?
Sure, why not? Let's do it.
Okay, Zack, topic number one. It's a juicy one. After his impressive showing against the Kansas City Chiefs, has your opinion on Zach Wilson changed?
Not yet. I still think he needs to show it more than one game. A lot of promise. They did not win the game. They're 5-7 with him as a starter since last year. He has more turnovers than touchdowns. Like, there's still things he has to work on. And if they're not winning these games, then, it's going to fall on the quarterback ultimately. And so I think he needs to show that he can play like he did for more than 1 week, where he's playing with confidence, where he's not scared of making mistakes. And until he does that, I'm not going to say that I'm confident that he can be like a playoff caliber quarterback.
Do not fall for recency bias. That is my thing. Don't get me wrong. I think this performance that he had against the Kansas City Chiefs, Zach, you probably feel exactly the same way. I've never seen Zach Wilson look like that before, so I don't know if it's necessarily changed my opinion of him, but for the first time in his tenure with the Jets, aside from that rookie season, I'm going, wait a minute, because that looked like somebody who can win football games. That looked like somebody who had some franchise quarterback potential. We haven't seen that yet, so I'm not ready to anoint him at this particular time, but I will say that I'm thinking that my opinion on Zach might have changed, and it will definitely change if he plays well in these next two games, starting Sunday against the Broncos. There we go. 1-0, baby. 1-0, baby. Oh, I like it. Let's just keep with the juicy hot topics here, Zach. This one, I think, is a good one. What is your confidence level in Jets head coach Robert Saleh?
Yeah, I think it's a tough prompt. I do think that he also, kind of like Zach Wilson, still has a lot to prove as a head coach. They have not been a winner yet. They've started games slowly, which I think is on the coaching staff, and they have lost a lot of close games. So do I have confidence in Saleh as a head coach? I do, but I think he still has a lot to prove. He needs to prove that he can be the coach of a winning team. They were put in a tough spot by losing Aaron Rodgers. There's no doubt about that. but the defense has started slow in every game this year. So he needs to get this team ready to play from the first quarter on, or it's going to be a long season.
I think my issue with Robert is just that you don't necessarily know yet, which is crazy because this is his third year. I think he's a good head coach. I think he has the complete and total respect of his team. I think this is a guy who can get the Jets into the playoffs, into the Super Bowl. But the problem is that there have been so many issues at quarterback that we just don't know. And I think that's alarming. But I will say that right now, my confidence level in Robert Saleh, the fact that these guys still continue to fight hard, these guys still continue to bring it, that I really haven't seen that much finger pointing, even though it was previously reported and some rumblings and things of that nature. I think he has complete control of the team. And if you can control the team with the issues the Jets have had at quarterback, I believe in you. So no, my confidence in Robert Saleh has not wavered in the slightest. I don't like that.
Oh,
see, now
I was worried it was going to be rigged, but now I'm feeling good.
All right, Zach, we all know how good of a cornerback Sauce Gardner is, but it seems like anytime anyone critiques Sauce Gardner or says something of the opposite, he likes to take to social media in defense. So are you worried at all about maybe how thin-skinned Sauce is sometimes appearing to be?
I don't think worried is the right word. I'm sure the Jets as an organization would prefer their players don't go and defend themselves the way Sauce does. I think it's been pretty harmless so far. I actually kind of enjoy it because as you saw, he went into detail about his perspective on the hold that was called on him in the last game. I think as long as it doesn't stretch in the territory of him trashing teammates or, alluding to, issues with the coaching staff, whatever it is, I don't have a problem with it. I think it's kind of funny that he engages with fans who question him, who say he touches the wide receivers all the time. I'm sure Jets PR staff doesn't love it, but as a reporter who gets to observe like a player just being honest with his emotions, I think it's great.
I go back and forth. One moment I'm like, yeah, I love it. The other moment I'm like, come on, man. And I think the reasoning that I'm against it is that I genuinely do believe that this guy struggles to take criticism. Now, Sauce Gardner is all world. He is as good as advertised. I'm not saying the criticism and knocks on him are warranted. He is as good and one of probably the top 5 corners in the entire NFL. But when you are that good and when you do get that much credit, people are going to come knocking. And the more that you acknowledge them, the more that you go back at them, the more that you feel the need to prove them wrong, it just makes me think like they are in your head. And in a big moment or something like that, might he be thinking about things he shouldn't be thinking about? So yeah, it's good, it's funny, it's cool at times, but for the most part, no, I would prefer he ignores those people, does not bring attention to it, and doesn't seem to get as worked up about it as he tends to. Oh, we got it again. 2-1, baby. 2-1. I'll tell you what, Zach, I'll give you this, man. It was a good battle. You were a valiant opponent, and we will have you on again before the end of the season for a little bit of a rematch if you want to lose again. Thank you so much for joining Jets Class. It was a blast as always. We're going to be all over SNY's digital platforms throughout this week. That means Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, and SNY.TV. Make sure you catch us there. Also, make sure you catch me and the rest of the Jets pregame live crew for Jets pregame live on SNY at 3 p.m. before Jets Broncos. We'll see you then.